I think the sun's going to become problematic here while we're filming, as you can see, but we're gonna go forward with it anyways because I told you guys, I didn't upload a video last week because I've been very sick. You might still hear I'm a little stuffed up, so I'm sorry my voice might not sound like it normally does, but I'm trying. Hopefully by the second video this week, it'll be better. But since I didn't upload a video last week, I said I'd upload 2 this week. So we're gonna be doing 2 videos. Today, I'm going to be ranking every single Sarah J. Maas book, and then on probably Thursday, maybe Friday, I'm going to have taboo book recommendations because I haven't done a rec video for a hot second, and what do I love more than a taboo book? So we're gonna be doing that then. But today, just to kind of like ease myself back into filming, we're gonna be ranking every single book by Sarah J. Maas. Now that I've officially finished House of Sky and Breath, I just need to talk about things. I need to talk about like the Maas universe in general and all of her books. If you guys are new here, I love Sarah J. Maas's series, specifically the Throne of Glass and ACOTAR series. I am really liking Crescent City, but we'll get into it a little bit more. But Throne of Glass and ACOTAR are just 2 of my ride or die series. I've read the ACOTAR series 3 times and I've read Throne of Glass twice. And they're just like some of my all-time favorite books. And I like to rank things, as I think a lot of people do. So we're gonna rank them today. Spoilers for every single book, every single series. I am not holding back in this because I will not be able to give my full thoughts on like House of Sky and Breath in my wrap up because I don't want to spoil anything in there. I didn't do a vlog for that, so I don't get to spoil anything in those videos. So this is my video to get everything out, to spoil everything. So if you have not read the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, the Throne of Glass series, or the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas, if you have not read all of those and all their books within, proceed at your own risk because I'm going to be spoiling things. My trusty dusty little notebook here. I did make this ranking when I was sick last week, just as something to like do. So I've been sitting on it for a while. I think this is a solid list. So 15 books to rank here. So at number 15, at the bottom of the barrel here. Oh, and I should just preface this by saying, oh, you probably saw it, me sneaking it over here. I should just preface this by saying I have never given a book of hers lower than 4 stars. They've all been 4 or 5 star reads for me. So even at the bottom of the list, I still gave these 4 stars. I still liked them or loved them, but they're 4 stars. They don't compare to some of the others. So number 15, the one that really I don't think compares to the others is A Court of Frost and Starlight. So this is like the ACOTAR novella following the first 3 books in the trilogy before then we get to like the next set of books, which start with like Silver Flames and so on. It's good, it's enjoyable. I love my time with Rhys and Feyre. I do, like, I love them. They are my babies. But here's the thing, it is basically a Hallmark Christmas movie in a novella. And it's not necessarily my cup of tea. Not a lot happens in here. It's a lot of like paperwork behind becoming like a High Lord and High Lady. A lot about like rebuilding the city and kind of Rhys and Feyre getting settled into like their roles in their life. So while I do think that this was like a good addition to the series, especially setting up A Court of Silver Flames with Cassian and Nesta, like I do think that this was necessary, but ultimately just it's not it. It's like fine, but just not really a lot happened. I do love this cover. I think this cover is stunning, but it's just, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't compare to the other books. Now this one could be controversial here because I know people that love this character are like ride or die for this character, but, and I liked him, cool, but I don't know. Number 14 is going to be The Assassin's Blade. This is a part of the Throne of Glass series. This is a novella collection. There are 5 novellas in here, all taking place before Throne of Glass, which is the first book in the Throne of Glass series. So it is like prequel novellas. However, this wasn't published first. This was published like in between. I read this at the very end. There are like a lot of opinions about where you could read this in the series. But here's the thing. I am just not a novella girly. I'm never going to be a novella girly. They're just not my favorite. And while I think all of these stories are cool and like I love seeing Yrene and I love seeing Sam and like Selena's time in the Red Desert, like they're all cool stories, but it's just kind of, in the grand scheme of things, I will never reread this. Like when I reread the Throne of Glass series recently, I didn't reread this because I was just kind of like, I just don't need to. Like it was fine to read the one time, 4 stars, they're good, but yeah, I don't know. I will probably never reread these stories again. At number 13 is the first book in the Throne of Glass series, Throne of Glass. This is good. This is a good starting point for the series. However, you definitely can tell, I think, that this is Sarah J. Maas's first book, and like how her writing elevates even in this series from here. This is by far my least favorite in that series, and obviously one of my least favorite overall. I still give it 4 stars. I love seeing where the story starts, specifically with our main 3 of Selena, Dorian, and Kale, especially my main man, Dorian. Like, and Dorian's snoozing up there now. There's a reason I named my cat Dorian. Like, I love Dorian, so I love seeing these beginnings for these characters. However, just in the grand scheme of things, the plot, the characters, it just does not hold up, I think personally, to the caliber of the rest of her books. And then following in right behind that, we have the second book in the Throne of Glass series, which is Crown of Midnight. I put this one in at number 12. I do like this one more than Throne of Glass. I like the plot in this one. I think we're getting like into the thick of things a little bit more. We're definitely getting more of Selena and like her character development. I mean, oh, duh, I can spoil things because I already told you guys. Aelin is like my all-time favorite Sarah J. Maas character. I think she is incredibly well written. She's an incredible character. I freaking love her. Literally one of my favorite characters of all time. And I love seeing the bits of change already starting in her in this book. And I think the events of this book are impactful to the series overall, and especially for Aelin's character. I really like it. I also like her and Kale. I was a Selena and Kale shipper at the beginning. I obviously know now that they were definitely not right for each other, but I do still like seeing their romance in this one, and that at one point, like, they did love each other, but they were just never going to be each other's one. It's a solid 12 spot. It's still a solid book, but yeah, definitely still at the lower end. Next, at, let's see, number 11, my favorite number, but not my favorite book, is A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. This cover, first of all, I love this cover. It's by far my favorite of the series. I think this cover is so pretty. I love the like red, the like rich red with the black and the tattoo. Like, oh, okay, and I love this series. I go back and forth on which I love more, the ACOTAR or the Throne of Glass series, and honestly, I can't choose because it depends day by day. Sometimes my answer just like flops around. But this is a solid first book, and I still really love it. However, it is 4 stars from me, and after I read this one, then I realized why I will never see this one the same again once I read like Mist and Fury and Wings and Ruin. But however, going back and rereading this, I thought this was better on the reread than it was on the first read, because I think the first 8 chapters in this are really slow. I think it picks up after chapter 8. So that's what I always tell people. I'm like, if you're starting to read this, like the 8th chapter and on, I feel like is when you start to get into it, but I think it is slow up until that point. And I did not see the red flags in this book the first time around. So I loved going back the second time and picking up on all of the red flags that Tamlin was blowing up left and right, that I was just like skirting on past. I was. Even when he stole her away for the hot second underneath the mountain and he was like trying to like get it on with her, I was like, oh my God, he wants one last moment with her. Yes. What were you thinking, girl? Like, I was being dumb. I was not thinking with this head. So, but I do still think that this is like a great book. I do still really like it, and I think it sets up the series very well. But yeah, especially in terms of like the series overall, this is definitely at the bottom, and I think it's at like a lot of people's bottoms because, I mean, Tamlin is just not it. Also, so many great scenes in here, like the calamine scene. Love that when she first meets Rhys. I love the under the mountain parts. Like, there are great scenes in this book, and that's why it is higher, because there are certain moments in here that I love, but I do think that there are a lot of like duller moments. Where are we at? We're at number 10. Okay, number 10. I'm kind of surprised that this made it to 10, but when I was putting together my list, it felt right. And I know, guys, don't come after me, especially for all the people who just read it and are in love with it, and I understand, but at number 10, I'm gonna put Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath. Here's the thing. This book was so fucking slow for me. It was so slow for me up until about like really around page 400. Like the last half of it went by much quicker for me, but the first 400 pages I felt like just dragged. I don't know. One, I felt so dumb, which is partially my fault. I should have reread House of Earth and Blood before I read this because I just felt stupid. I'm like, did I even read the first book? So that was partially on me. I think that this world I don't grasp as easily as the Throne of Glass and ACOTAR worlds. So I think that is one thing for me in this. Like the world I just don't feel like I have as good of a handle on. And I think that is too, like only having 2 books set in it. But secondly, there are so many characters in this that I found it harder to connect to some of them, and I do think that this is not as character driven as ACOTAR. I think is like very much a character driven story, which I personally prefer. And I even think Throne of Glass I would say is like a little even more even like plot and character, but even in that still like it is very heavy on its characters. And obviously this is too, but I just had such a harder time connecting to the characters in here and like feeling that like character focus. It is much more, I think, like plot and world focused, which is fine. But just for me as like a reader personally, I look for more like character driven stories. So I still love Bryce and Hunt. Love that they are endgame because I do really love them. And Rune hit it out of the park for me. Chapter 3 in this, that was like barely any, that was like really no spice at all, but I was like, oh, okay. I was so instantly like entranced by this man, and I loved him throughout this book, and I love Bryce and Hunt, and I like Therion, and I like the characters. I just don't feel as connected to them as the other characters. And here's the thing, this book was 4 stars for me up until the final chapter. And I'm gonna spoil it in this video. When Bryce, I mean, first of all, I loved Bryce's escape. I love a smart heroine. I loved the Hind reveal. I had guessed that like halfway through, I think, was when I was like, oh my God, is that the Hind? I thought it was Hind or Celestina, is that her name? The one archangel that like Hunt works for. I thought it was either her or the Hind. And then when we found her hooking up with Hypaxia, then I was like, okay, it's not them. So then I'm like, is it the Hind? And I was so happy. I loved that reveal. That was great. And I loved the final scene with this. However, if Bryce would have ended up in hell, like, and then if the last chapter would have been her like being circled by like the 7 gods of hell, this would have been 4 stars for me. But the fact that Sarah J. Maas is doing this, she is fucking doing it. I had to go for a walk when I read the final chapter. As soon as they said like hazel eyes, I was like, no. And then like the wings, I was like, no, but I still wasn't letting myself believe it because there's so much about this world that we don't know. And like hell that we don't know. So I was like, I'm not letting myself believe it. But then when like Amryn came prowling in, I was like, oh my God, it's Amryn, isn't it? It's Amryn. And then when Cassian and Nesta came in, I had to reread it because I like wasn't even processing in my brain. I was so fucking excited to see the ACOTAR characters in here. So honestly, that final chapter is what bumped it up a full star for me. So I'm so excited for the next book to see what this crossover does. And I am just hoping and praying that my babies from the Throne of Glass series get their moment in here too and into this whole like Maas universe. But that final line of, hello, my name is Rhysand, bitch, oh my God, I'm so glad that I wasn't spoiled for that too, because that was just insane to read that like right off the bat, not knowing. I still put this at number 10 all in all, because truly that final chapter is what bumped it up to a 5-star. Overall, this book was not my favorite. I did enjoy it. I think it is a great book. I think this is a great world, but for me personally, it's not my favorite. But I cannot wait to see where the 3rd one goes from here, because oh my God. Can you like even just think about Rhys interacting with, well, okay, why the fuck do Rune and Rhys look alike? That is wild to me. Like I never put that together in my head, so I cannot wait to see them interact. But mostly like Feyre and Bryce, and like Nesta and Bryce, and even like Amryn. Oh my God, Amryn and Fury, like get out of here. I am so freaking excited for this crossover. I cannot wait to see Rhys battling it out next to Hunt. Oh my God, I'm literally going to convulse when the 2 of them like go into battle together. And then please bring in Aelin and Rowan and Dorian. I want to see Dorian, Rowan, Rhys, and Hunt fight so badly side by side, and I want to see Aelin and Feyre and Bryce fight side by side so badly. Oh my God, I just can't wait. I'm just so excited. But anyways, yeah, this one is number 10. Was a ramble. Okay, at number 9, we have a fan favorite. And I know guys, but I'm gonna put Heir of Fire at number 9. I do love this book. As you can see, these are some of the only books that I've ever tabbed. I don't tab like any other books, but when I did my reread on these, I had to put certain scenes because like doing a full reread on these is a time commitment. So now I think in the future I'll kind of go back and I can kind of like pepper my way through as I want. Heir of Fire, I love this. I love Aelin's journey in this book. I love Rowan. I love all of their times on Mistward. This is a 5-star. Now starting from here and above, these are all 5-star reads. Actually, well, House of Sky and Breath was, but kind of 4-star, kind of 5-star. This is 5-star and up, going up from here. Here's the thing though, I love this and I love getting Manon and the witches involved in this book. However, my baby Dorian's storyline in this and Kale's are like kind of a waste of time, and I realize that reading this back now, like his time with Sorsha and their time back in Adarlan, it's just kind of like meh. When it gets to their chapters, like I'm obviously excited because I love those two characters, but I think overall like the strongest point of this book are Aelin and Rowan's parts. Like I don't think overall as a whole though, the book is like the strongest book that she has, but I do think Aelin's journey in this book is one of the best. Like I love Sarah J. Maas's mental health and her characters, and especially in her female characters that we get to see. In the scheme of things, the book as a whole though ends up at number 9 with Manon's and Dorian and Kale's chapters interspersed with Aelin's. Step at number 8 is, there are so many Kale haters, but I will never be a Kale hater. I love him so much, and I love Tower of Dawn. Even putting this at number 8 kind of hurt my heart, but like looking at the books that I left, it did feel right. But I love Tower of Dawn so much. I love that Kale gets his redemption arc in this book. I think he has his Aelin Heir of Fire journey, his Feyre Mist and Fury journey, his Nesta Silver Flames journey. He has that in this book. And I love that for him. He had so much healing to do internally. Like, yes, it's focused on him healing like himself physically, but it's so much internally for me. And I think they're tied so strongly together. And I love his relationship with Yrene. Yrene is the underrated queen of this series. I love Yrene so much. And I love the two of them together. And I just think their relationship is so strong. I think their healing journey that they both had to go through in this book is so good. I think the forgiveness that they both had to give to themselves. And then I also love Nesrin and Sartek in here. Like, that's a fun duo in here too. I love them as well. But Kale and Yrene are definitely the highlight for me in this book. And I love the Southern Continent. It was so cool to explore another place in this world, because we had gotten a lot in obviously the other books of certain cities and places around, but we had never been to the Southern Continent. And being there, like, it was just so cool. Like, I just loved the Southern Continent and the time spent there. So chapter 55 in here, it literally makes me sob. This is a better chapter 55 than A Court of Mist and Fury chapter 55, because this chapter 55 is like Kale's whole like final kind of healing moment. Oh, and he's going back and he's seeing like visions of Aelin and stuff. Oh my god, it's so good. I literally love this book. Ooh, so much. Okay, at number 8, we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. I do think that the Crescent City novels are bound to change a bit in the rankings here once we have like a completed series, because obviously I can look at these other books as like a whole and kind of look at them as I just have like a more complete picture of that series and those characters in those books, where obviously with these, they're like still going. So I do think these are probably the most ones that are bound to change over time. But as of right now, House of Earth and Blood is at number 8. However, if we were talking about covers, this will be like number 1. These will be 1 and 2. I love the covers of these books. So I much prefer this one over Sky and Breath. I think I just like the plot more in this one. I like Bryce and Hunt being forced together to kind of like work together as reluctant allies a little bit. I love Bryce's journey that she goes through after losing Danica in this one. I like the introduction to this world. I do think that, again, it's heavy in the world building, but I liked the plot of this one, and I liked the characters. Obviously they're like the same characters, but I think I liked the beginning of this series a little bit better than Sky and Breath. I don't know why. Honestly, I can't really even explain it, why I like this one more, but I just know that I do. And I feel like that's enough of an explanation for me, and I feel like should be, like, this is my list, and I just feel like I like this one more. And I love the final battle in this one. Like, I think the final battle in this one is like so much stronger than Sky and Breath, minus the last chapter of Sky and Breath. But yeah, and I mean, like, Bryce with the vacuum, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that is Sarah J. Maas's most iconic duo to date. It's a solid number 8 for me. Or no, number 7, my bad. Number 7, I need to be referencing my list more. Okay, number 6, we have A Court of Silver Flames. This was so anticipated for me, even though I was not the biggest fan of Nesta before this book, and I will wholeheartedly defend my dislike for Nesta before this book, and I totally understand why people liked her and like why people related to her. I'm not trying to like get into an argument about Nesta because I do love her now after this book. I love the journey that she goes through in this book. This is a very character-driven book. I feel like once again, which is obviously, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'm much more drawn to. I loved her journey in this. I love her friendship that she has with Gwyn and Emery. Sarah J. Maas does a great female heroine and like a great group of girls in her books. Like, I think her female characters are very, very strong. I think that's showcased in here. I loved Cassian. I do think that some of his development got pushed by the wayside a little bit in favor of Nesta's journey, which is fine, but I do think there could have been like a little bit more insight into like Cassian and like his head. But overall, you know, I love the spice in this. I do. It was great. But I do like the addition into this world. This is like Aylin's Heir of Fire journey, but for Nesta in this book. And I love it. And I feel like I need to reread it because I literally read it in like a day and a half when it first came out because I was going on vacation after it came out. And I'm like, I'm not taking this chunker on the plane. So I read it super fast, and I think I definitely need a reread of it. I loved what it did for Nesta's character and Cassian too, and like setting up the next books in this world. And now I'm interested to see how it plays out now with Crescent City, with the crossover, because I think the next Crescent City book is coming before the next ACOTAR book. So I'm interested to see how that like plays with the other worlds, or how it plays into this world then, having the crossover. Okay, we're on our final 5 books here. Oh my God, what a spread. What a spread I have here. Okay, so at number 5, I have Queen of Shadows, which is the 4th book in the Throne of Glass series. I love this book so much. I love the fact that Aylin is back in Adarlan. I love the fact that she's having to deal with Arabin. Like, I love that we get closure with that in this. We get introduced to Lysandra, one of my fucking faves. I love Lysandra. I love that we got her in this. I still liked Aedion at this point, so I liked Aedion in this book. Dorian being Valg in this one. Oh my God, to see my king go through that kind of pain was hard, but ultimately worth it. I love watching my favorite characters suffer. And I liked seeing him suffer in this one. As much as it hurt me, it did give him that edge that I just love. Love when Rowan comes and meets Aelin. Their reunion is great. We get Lorcan being a dumbass in this one and being rude like he is. We get Kale being an asshole in this one. I do not like Kale in this book, but I do love him overall. But he is a dick in this one. But we just get like so many mergings of characters in this. Oh my God, we get Manon popping in on this one with our characters, and her and Dorian in their moment. Oh, bitch. I am forever mad that we don't get this level with Dorian and Manon in this series. I think that we are the most robbed out of that because, oh my God, they would be so explosive. I love Dorian and Manon together, so I love seeing their beginning here. There are literally so many great scenes in this book. I literally love it so much. I love Aedion's rescue. I love the ending. I love all the parts with Arabin. I love the gold nightgown moment. This book is just fantastic. Through and through, literally no complaints about it. I don't have any complaints about any of these books that we're in at the end here because I love them all with my whole heart and soul. So even though this one is at number 4, again, like literally no complaints. Kingdom of Ash, the 8th book in the Throne of Glass series, the finale book. What to even say? I love an all hope is lost moment, and we get so many of those in this book. Like, we are constantly thinking that all hope is lost, specifically for Aedion and Lysandra's front there. And what an asshole. Aedion it's on sight if I ever saw him in real life. Oh, Aedion pisses me off in this book so much. I love Aelin's capture. Again, it's so hard to see a character that you love so much go through such severe pain and suffering. And I found myself like cringing because I was so like hurt by proxy by what Aelin was going through. Like when she was forced to kneel on the glass. Oh my God, like just to see my queen go through so much pain in this book. And then with the Iron Mask when she makes her escape, and Rowan, and then with her just being like, I'm so tired throughout this whole book. Like the journey, the fact that this wrapped up like Aelin's whole journey so well, to see her become a queen after so much pain and like think that she's going to have to sacrifice herself, and that she was just ready, and that she was just tired. She was just like ready to have it done. Like her fight was kind of out of her in this book, but still she never lost it for other people. Oh my God, it's so fucking good. I can't say enough about it. Manon and the 13 broke my heart. Lorcan and Elide in this, when they are running across the battlefield on the like devil horse or whatever. Oh my God, so epic. When Aelin made the wall of fire to stop the wave from crashing. Chaol and Yrene's moment in this. Dorian shapeshifting, outsmarting Maeve. Oh my God, I literally can't even like express how much I love this book. This is like, again, I think like a pretty perfect book in my opinion. And I don't care. Obviously, I'm sure there are flaws. There are going to be plenty of other people out there who find flaws in this book. Me, I have blinders and I see none. This book is fantastic. The like ultimate finale. Like I can't have pictured a better finale, except maybe Dorian and Manon having more of like a certain future. But in my head, they are together. They are together in my brain. And if they show up in Crescent City and the Maas crossover, they better be together. They better be together, or I will be writing a letter. So kind of like these top 5 books could have almost gone in any order. However, like those 2 were like more specifically, like I kind of knew that they would be like 4 and 5. But these final 3 books, I truly, they could switch day to day of what is my favorite. But this is what I'm thinking right now. But I will just say all 3 of these books, I really could put like any of these at number 1. Like they are all just my favorites. Like if I could lump them all into one to be my favorite, they would. But for the sake of ranking them, we're still going to. So at number 3, I'm going to put A Court of Mist and Fury. Now I know. But there is just something about Wings and Ruin that I love more. I'll get into that in a second. But A Court of Mist and Fury, this I think is one of her strongest books. Obviously, it's at the top of my list here. But the character journey in this that Feyre goes through is unmatched. I think it's very much reminiscent of Aelin and Heir of Fire, but I think this even like goes into it a little bit more because we're in Feyre's point of view, so I think you get it like a little stronger in this one. We obviously see the change in Tamlin, and we get the entire introduction of like the Night Court and that cast of characters, and I just love it. There's so many great scenes in here between Rhys and Feyre in general, like their enemies to lovers arc is just amazing, but also just Feyre pretty much coming back from the brink of not wanting to be around anymore and seeing a character go from being like so lifeless to having so much to live for is really beautiful to read, and I personally just love that in books. Like I think it's like unmatched. And I love the scene of her training with Cassian, and when she like finally starts crying and she finally has kind of like a bit of a breakthrough after she wrote the note to Tamlin that she's not going to come back anymore, and she like is just kind of letting out like all of her frustration, and she realized that she like literally burned through Cassian's gloves, and he's like fully prepared to keep training with her even though he could hurt her, and he is just such a soft soul. I love Cassian. And I love that moment for Feyre. Obviously, the Court of Nightmares scene is one of my fucking favorites because do not disrespect Rhys's name. Do not disrespect Feyre's name. I think chapter 54 is better than chapter 55 too. Chapter 54, when we're getting stuff from Rhys's perspective, I think what I would love to see, if I could tell Sarah J. Maas to write like one additional book, well, okay, 2. Dorian and Manon spinoff. I would love to have a Rhys POV throughout this series as well. I think that would have been so good to like be reading those side by side. And I do get why we didn't, because this is obviously very focused on Feyre, but I would love to have like a Rhys POV book all the way back to like even before Feyre, like events over his lifetime. I think that would be really interesting to read. Love every moment, even the moments when she's in the spring court at the beginning with Tamlin, like I still think are good because it does just really show like the utter despair that she's in. And I think that makes it even better at the end when you see her like so full of life. Oh my God. I could talk about this book for hours. And then at number 2, these are both so good, but at number 2, I am gonna put A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series. This is my favorite book in the ACOTAR series. I love this book for so many reasons. Oh my God, I kind of even forgot to mention the ending of A Court of Mist and Fury, but wild. But I guess we'll kind of get into it with this one. I love Feyre's time back in the spring court, just causing pure chaos. She is so smart. She's so underrated by so many people around her, and you can just see what she does with that. Like, Aelin was never really underrated, I feel like, by people around her. Everyone knew that she was like very smart, and yes, she was always outsmarting people and always like surprising them with her maneuvers, but still no one was looking at Aelin being like, oh, she's not going to do anything. Everyone in this book was looking at Feyre in the spring court of being like, she can't do anything. And look at what she did. She sent your court into shambles, and I don't feel bad about it, and she shouldn't either. I love that time in the spring court. This is the one scene I want to see like in cinematic action in front of, well, there are so many, but this will be one like at the top of my list, is when her and Lucien are running across the ice in the winter court, I think, is it? And his brothers are coming after them and trying to capture them. And then when Eris has her like bound and gagged, and Cassian and Azriel like slam into the ice and like start fighting. Oh my God, that scene, I don't know how many times I've reread that scene. It is so fucking cool. I love them when we're back in Valaris then with like Lucien and Feyre and kind of getting settled in there. And then the dynamics with Nesta and Elaine getting settled in there and being with everyone. Love that then we have Feyre as our High Lady, and then Cassian's like mad at her because he was like, you're my High Lady and I wouldn't have let that happen to you. It's like, you pure fucking soul. I love Azriel teaching her how to fly. I love the big battle at the end. But here is, I think, Sarah J. Maas's best scene that she's ever written is the meeting of all the High Lords. That scene is so impressive to me as a reader, but then also as a writer, to have that many characters, that many backstories, that many motives going all into one scene, and that many histories between characters and relationships going on in one scene, and how well she executed it it's mind-blowing to me. That scene is absolutely incredible, and I love it. And obviously Tamlin, it's just like, someone just needs to slap the shit out of that man. Like, fuck you. Yeah, you come in clutch later in this. Thank you for saving Feyre, but fuck you. I love the final battle, and I want an artwork of Rhys, Azriel, and Cassian all in their like war helmets. There was one of Rhys made, and I like about passed out when I saw it because I was like, that is the coolest artwork I've ever seen. And I want one of them in their full like battle outfits. Oh my God. I love reading the war scenes in these books, and I do really like this final one, even though I don't still understand how like Rhys came back to life, but I'll overlook it. My number 1 favorite book of Sarah J. Maas's is Empire of Storms. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. This book is insane. Heir of Fire was the turning point, I think, for the Throne of Glass series, but this book was where I think just like the level of everything was raised. I love that we have Dorian, Aelin, Aedion, Rowan, Lysandra, is that all of them, all traveling together in this one. I love that we have Lorcan and Elide traveling together in this one. I love everything that happens with Manon in this one, and then when she gets like dropped off with the crew. Love that. Love her and Dorian's interactions in this one. Love Rowan and Aelin realizing that they are mates in this one. I love the battle at not Pirates Cove. That's a miniature golf course. Pirates Bay, Skulls Bay. The part with Rolf, you know what I'm talking about? Love that. Love all the battle sequences in this. When Lysandra turns into the sea dragon, bitch, I love you. Lysandra, I love you. I love you so much. That is so epic. In like 700 pages, there is not a single dull moment. Not a single word wasted, not a single sentence wasted. I don't know how that's possible, but this book is like everything and more. I literally love it so much, and I feel like I should just shut up. I think it is just through and through a fantastic book, fantastic characters, great battles, great plot thickening things going on. The ending with Maeve showing up, oh my god, and Aelin, and then Rowan's "Where is my wife?" Bitch. Tears. I remember when I read this for the first time and just being in such a state of distress. I love these characters so much. Like, if I could bring any world to life, I think I would want to bring Throne of Glass to life. Oh, even though I would not survive a second. That is my official rating. We will see how this ebbs and flows over time as more Crescent City books come out, as more ACOTAR books come out, and we will see. Hope you guys enjoyed your ranking. If you have read all of them, I want to see your rankings. Please leave them for me in the comments. Please, I want to know what your ranking is, or maybe even just tell me your like top 3 if you don't feel like ranking them all. Tell me what are your top like 3 SJM books. That's it for today. That's it for this video. Like I said, later this week I will have a taboo book recommendation video out. I'm very excited. I'm putting together like a little guide of being like dipping your toe in to like full deep end. So we're gonna cover it all with the taboo recs. That is it for today. Thank you for sticking with me with my nasty voice, and I will see you when I see ya.